So I have just now I have mentioned that there are some unit operation and unit process in the chemical industries. So what are the unit operations and what are the unit processes, and then different hazards present in that chemical industries. So first of all, we must know what exactly these unit operations, what are the unit operations, processes, and the examples. So unit operation is nothing but the physical change, right? It is derived by a combination, unification of science and engineering principles. So for the example, if the domestic example is nothing but the filtration of water, so we are going to filter the water with the help of some filter medium, and we are going to separate suspended solid particles from the water. So that is nothing but the filtration technique. So that filtration is nothing but the unit operations. Then a simple example, another example like size reduction. So if you want to cut some product in a smaller size, then that is nothing but the cutting. So that operation can be done with the help of small cutters or the medium or large cutters in the industries. So that is nothing but the cutting or size reduction equipment. Sometimes we have to reduce the size with the help of ball mill, hammer mill, etc. And that operation is nothing but the size reduction operation. That is nothing but the unit operations. Right? So there are lots of examples of these unit operations from which we can understand what exactly this unit operation. So in case if there is a no chemical reaction, there is no chemical changes, then it is called as simple unit operations, right? So these are the examples where unit operations are carried out in the chemical industries: absorption, adsorption, crystallization, distillation, drying, evaporation, extraction, centrifuging, scrubbing, filtration, mixing, size reduction, heat exchanging, etc. So these are the different examples. This absorption means AB. So AB means what? So absorption of a bulk quantity of gases. So when it is in terms of large quantity, then it is called as absorption. If it is restricted to the surface, then it is adsorption, AD. So that is the basic difference. So absorption is the bulk phenomena, so in terms of kgs or in terms of tons, and adsorption is a surface phenomena that may be in terms of gram or micrograms, right? So this is the basic difference, absorption and adsorption. So we are absorbing the chemicals or the pollutants on a particular solvent or on adsorbent, then it is absorption and adsorption phenomena. There is no chemical change, that is why it is called as unit operations. You are going to create the crystal. So simple example is crystallization of sugar. So in sugar factory, we are producing the sugar crystals from the sugar cane, from the sugar cane juice, then evaporation process, then dryer, and then crystallizer. So in the crystallizer, we are producing the crystals from the thick liquor of this cane juice. So that is nothing but the crystallizer. So we are not going to do any chemical reactions or chemical activity. We are just forming the crystals from the thick liquor. So that is why it is under the unit operations. Then distillation is one of the technique where two or more components are liquid components are separated out with the help of thermal energy. So we are providing the steam as a heating media, and we are separating these different components. So that is a simple example. Crude oil is separating into the white petrol, diesel, different types or grades of oils, then some waxes or coal tar. So these are the different products from the distillation unit. So we are going to use thermal energy, and on the basis of thermal energy, we are separating out these components on the basis of boiling points or volatility. So this is also a unit operation. There is no chemical reaction. Then drying is also the unit operation where we are separating or removing the moistures from the wet products. So we are separating the moisture from the wet product with the help of thermal energy, with the help of hot air with the help of hot gases, etc. So there is no chemical reaction. Then evaporation is also an operation where we are evaporating the water content from the thin liquor, and the motive of this evaporation is to convert thin liquor into thick liquor. It means our objective is to concentrate a thin liquor or a given liquor to the thick liquor. So this thin to thick liquor conversion is by evaporating the water. So how to evaporate that water? So we have to provide again the thermal media or steam heat. So that is again a unit operation because no chemical reaction is involved in the separate out that water. Then extraction is also a unit operation. So it is also a separation technique where two liquid or more than two liquid components are separated out with the help of third liquid component. So the third liquid component is called as solvent, and the criteria or the characteristics of solvent is such that only one component is attached to that solvent on the basis of their affinity towards that solvent, and the second component is indirectly separated out. So say for example A plus B is there and C is the solvent, so the affinity of A towards C or the C towards A is in such a way that C and A are separated out. Obviously indirectly B is separated from the A. So that is extraction. It is purely liquid components or liquid solid components extraction. If it is liquid solid component, then it is called as leaching. If it is liquid components, then it is called as extraction or liquid extraction. Then centrifuge is the simple process where centrifugal force is involved. So with the help of this centrifugal force, we are separating out the solids and liquid particles with the help of centrifuge machines. Then scrubbing is nothing but the absorption phenomena where we can separate out or absorb some chemicals on the solvent. So depending on the chemicals or the pollutants which we want to separate out, depending on that solvent criteria is decided. So mainly the water is the common solvent for all types of activities, but in case of acid fumes, then we have to use zero point 0.1 normal NaOH and like that. So acidic fumes can be neutralized with the NaOH, that is basic or alkali, and the scrubbing can be done. So likewise, depending on the situation or the criteria, we have to select that solvent. Then filtration, already discussed. Mixing, simple A plus B plus C components are mixed together. If there is no chemical reaction, then that is called as mixing as a unit operation. Size reduction, we have already discussed. Cutting, hammering, ball mill, separations, etc. All these are the size reduction activities. And heat exchangers are nothing but the heating or cooling equipments. That may be heater, that may be cooler, that may be evaporator, that may be vaporizer, condenser, etc. All these types of equipments are nothing but the heat exchanger units where only heat is changed for heating something, for cooling something, for condensing something, for vaporizing something. So there is no chemical reactions. And that is why these all operations are called as unit operations, and these are the common unit operations involved in the chemical industries. Then what is unit process? So it is simple. When it is a chemical reaction, when it is a chemical process, when it is chemical conversion, then that process is called as chemical conversion process or unit process. So these are the examples of unit process or chemical reactions. So alkylation, amination, calcination, combustion, condensation, pyrolysis, cyanation, halogenation, hydrogenation, hydrolysis, nitration, oxidation, reduction, then sulfonation, polymerization, etc. These are the different unit process examples where the chemical reaction is occurred. So say for example, if combustion is the simple operation which we know. So combustion is nothing but carbon plus O2, that gives CO2 and H2. So normally when we are burning something, then the hydrocarbons are involved as a fuel. So combustible fuels are normally hydrocarbons, means where hydrogen and carbon are present, and when we are burning it out means we are providing the oxygen, we are providing some source of ignition, and depending on that hydrocarbon availability, uh, the hydrocarbons are converted into CO, CO2 and H2. So if the combustion is complete, then it is forming the CO2 and H2O. If it is incomplete combustion, then it is forming a CO and H2O and some oxygen molecules also. So these are the chemicals reactions. That is why it is under the unit processes. So there are different processes like halogenation. So halogen means halogen group, that is indicated by capital X in the chemistry, and it is fluorine, chlorine, bromine, iodine. So if the fluorine, chlorine, bromine, iodine are involved in the some reaction, then it is called as halogenation reaction. Likewise, hydrogenation. If hydrogen is involved in the chemical reaction, then it is hydrogenation. Then hydrolysis, if water molecules are involved in the reaction, then it is hydrolysis. If nitro elements or nitrogen derivatives are involved, then it is called as nitration. If oxygen or oxygen derivatives are involved, then it is called as oxidation. Reduction is nothing but the addition of hydrogen element, but it should be nascent hydrogen only. If it is hydrogen molecule, then it is hydrogenation. If it is nascent hydrogen, only H element, then it is reduction. Then sulfonation means sulfonic group, that is SO3H. If it is involved in the process or reaction, then it is called as sulfonation. And if it is more than one monomers are involved in the reaction, then it is called as polymerization. So simple example is polyvinyl chloride, polyethylene. So vinyl chloride, more than one vinyl chlorides are involved or get together, and that is why it is polyvinyl chloride. In the similar manner, polyethylene. So more than one ethylene molecules or monomers are come together and polymer is created, that is nothing but polyethylene. So likewise, there are different reactions, different unit processes involved in the chemical industries. So these are the basic things, that is nothing but the unit operations and unit process, right? Now we have to take some example where the chemical industry is involved. What are the hazards? What are the unit operations? What are the unit process? What are the parameters which I already discussed? What is the temperature criteria, pressure criteria, and on the basis of these criteria or the chemicals involved, we have to identify the hazards, and then how to handle these hazards. What are the prevention techniques? How to treat these hazards? That should be mentioned. So this is one of the example, that is nothing but the fertilizer industry. It is the major component of the agriculture chemical industry. So we know that more than the 80% of the area or the population of India is doing this agriculture activities. So this is the fertilizer uh, is the main chemical component which is used by all the farmers. So fertilizers are artificial or natural. Some natural fertilizers are available, and if you want to use this artificial fertilizer, then we have to create that artificial fertilizer depending on the requirement. Artificial fertilizer are produced in chemical plants, and that may be organic or inorganic. That may be nitrogenous, phosphate, potash, and trace element fertilizers. So depending on your requirement, and generally these fertilizers are available. So that is called as inorganic. When we are using this natural processes, then it is called as organic fertilizers. So RCF is the main industry, that is Rashtriya Chemical Fertilizers of government unit which produces these fertilizers. So normally in the fertilizer there are main three elements, that is NPK. So N stands for this nitrogen, P is for phosphorus, and this K stands for this potassium, right? So why these three elements is essential in the fertilizer? Why we are going to use this fertilizer in the farming? So N is used for the early stages of the plant growth to promote development of stems and leaves. So that is the need of this nitrogen. Why we are using this nitrogen in this fertilizer? So for the development of the stems and leaves in the early stages of plant growth. Then we have to add this P, that is phosphorus. which stimulates early growth. So here early growth stage, initial stage, now the rate is going to increase. So stimulation of early growth and accelerate seeding or fruit formation in later stages of growth and gives resistance power to plant. So to provide the resistance power to the plant, to stimulate or accelerate the activity of early growth or fruit formation, we have to include this phosphorus element. And the potassium is essential to develop of the starch of grains and potatoes, the sugar of fruit, vegetables and fibrous materials of plant. Right? So these three elements are essential, and that is why fertilizer normally indicated by this NPK and some numbers. So if that is 40, 40, 20 or 40, 20, 40, it means N is of percentage 40%, then P 20% and K 40%. So normally if you observe the labels or the stickers or the printed stickers on the packaged bags of the fertilizer, then you can observe this NPK and these numbers. So you must know what exactly these numbers means and what is the use of these numbers or what is the use of these elements. So these are the nitrogen containing fertilizers, mainly ammonium superphosphate, ammonium monophosphate, urea, ammonium nitrate. So properties of urea. So nowadays in the news we are listening about this news that urea is not available in the market and likewise. What exactly this urea is? So the chemical formula of this urea is NH2CONH2. Molecular weight is 60.05. Melting point is 132.7 degrees Celsius. Boiling point is decomposes. The specific gravity is 1.335. Solubility fairly soluble in water, that is 110 gram per 100 gram water at 20 degrees Celsius and 135 gram per 100 gram water at 100 degrees Celsius is the solubility. Then grade is CP technical, nitrogen 46% and availability in terms of solid or in terms of liquid. So this is the basic information about this urea. Now we have to focus how to produce this urea in a safe manner. What are the hazards involved in this process? What are the equipments or process involved in this producing the urea NH2CO and H2? So this is the chemical reactions. So chemical reactions means unit process. So we have to use CO2 carbon dioxide, ammonia as a raw material. Then in the first step, the CO2 is reacted with NH3 and it produces NH4CONH2, that is ammonium carbamate in the first step. In the second step, this ammonium carbamate, that is NH4CONH2, splitted into NH2CONH2, that is nothing but the urea. So in the second step, this urea is produced and byproduct is water, right? So the undesirable or the side reaction is this twice or 2 moles of NH4CONH2 can be converted into this NH2CONH2, which is not the desired product and it is not the desired reactions. So our reaction, ideal reaction is this CO2 and NH3 is combined together and with the help of chemical reactions, this urea should be produced, right? So biurate is the side product of this side reactions. Our main product is the urea. So this is the chemical reactions where you can understand how this urea can be produced. Now what are the process parameters? So ammonia and CO2 are compressed separately and added to the high autoclave. So this is high temperature, high pressure vessel, that is autoclave, which must be water cooled due to the highly exothermic nature of the reactions, because the temperature is on the higher side. So we have to provide some cooling process. So water coolers are present. The average resistance continuous basis is 2 hours. So we have to run this CO2 plus ammonia reaction at least for 2 hours, A mixture of urea, ammonium carbamate, water and untreated ammonia plus CO2 results out. So we have shown in the reactions. The liquid effluent is let down to 27 atmosphere. Normally what we are sitting, that is nothing but the 1 atmosphere, and it is 27 times. So you can understand the meaning of this pressure. 27 atmosphere means 27 times the normal atmospheric pressure, and feed to the special flash evaporator containing a gas liquid separator and condensers. So in the flash evaporators, now when we are flashing out this liquid effluent, flashing out means from the 27 atmosphere to reduced pressure or to the directly normal atmospheric pressure. So if the pressure is reduced drastically, obviously the boiling point is also reduced drastically, and the water particles or the other particles can be evaporated easily, and we can get the solid particles. So untreated NH3, CO2 and water as a solution are thus removed and recycled and can be used for the recycling purpose. An aqueous solution of carbamate, urea is passed to the atmospheric flush drum where further decomposition takes place. So this aqueous solution of urea, it means urea and water, right, in terms of some carbamate also. So it is passes to the flush drum to remove other particles, and we have to use only urea. The off gases from this step can either be recycled or sent to the ammonia nitrogen process for making chemical fertilizer. So these are the different steps involved in the process description. Why we are going to discuss this process description? Because unless and until the process description is going, you can't understand what are the hazards present, what are the parameters, like suppose here pressure is 27 atmosphere. Now exothermic reaction is there. It means temperature is also one of the parameter. So some liquid or the solution is transferring from one point to another point, means some flow measuring devices are also indicated. Some level indicators are also. So you should know what exactly the process is, what are the measuring parameters are, what are the instruments are used, what are the hazards present due to that instruments or due to that parameters or due to the chemicals. So 80% of aqueous urea solution can be used or sent to the vacuum evaporator to obtain molten urea containing less than 1% water. Now the final product is having less than 1% water, 99% product. The molten mass is then spread into the breathing tower, and after granulations means the final product is in terms of granules are sent to the sieving for sizing. The urea granules are separated out size-wise and sent to packing department. So whatever the fertilizer which is available in the market is in terms of granules only, that is in terms of solid particles. So these are the hazards present. So on the basis of this process description, we can identify the hazards, and these are the precautionary measures for this particular hazards. So what is the hazard? Loading and unloading of ammonia. So ammonia is a raw material. So we have to unload this ammonia from some point, from some tankers, from some transportation facility, and we have to load this ammonia to the process or to the production unit. So for this loading and unloading of ammonia, trained people should be there. Standard procedure for the loading and unloading of NH3 should be designed, should be conveyed, should be shown on the signboards or edges where this unloading and unloading is done. Then designated place for unloading, specific unloading space should be mentioned. In unloading, the supervision. So supervisor or subject experts or that particular experts for that ammonia loading unloading person should be present while loading and unloading of this ammonia. So ammonia itself is a hazardous chemical, that is why this loading and unloading is a hazard. So handling of this ammonia is one of the hazard, and these are the precautionary measures. Warehouse stage or storing. So storing of this ammonia is another hazard. Spherical tank or overhead mounted tanks are used for storing this ammonia. So for the precautionary measures, water sprinkling systems, water treatment systems, pressure gauges, level indicators, flashback correctors, lightning arresters are used for storing this ammonia in the different tank systems. Then bulk storage is another hazard. So for bulk storage means for large quantity of storing this ammonia or other materials. So dike with capacity 1.3 times of minimum capacity, dike with all such systems such as collection pit, recycle pump, water sprinkling systems. Avoid storing along with oxidizing material because these oxidizing material are very reactive, very reactive with especially when the humid or moistures are present or the temperature on the higher side. Then store in well ventilated area. Ventilation should be provided this. High quantity of air should be there, or some fan arrangement, door arrangement or ventilation should be provided. Then flame resistance area. So flame proof or flame resistance material should be used while storing this ammonia or other material. Then transportation to the plant. So while transporting these chemicals to the plant, color coding to the pipeline should be given. So there are some IS guidelines for this color coding. So red pipeline indicates something else, green pipeline indicates something else, then yellow indicates something else. So there are different chemicals which are transferring from one point to another point, and you can understand these pipelines are carrying these chemicals or flowing these chemicals from this pipeline. A release valve at various locations. So some release valve should be installed at various locations in case of excess chemicals or excess gases or vapors. Then proper insulation to the pipeline is provided. So that insulation may be of electrical insulation, may be of uh, thermal insulation. So to avoid the thermal losses, to avoid the direct contact to the pipelines or the vessels or storage, we have to provide some thermal insulations, and to avoid the electrical shocks, etc., we have to apply the electrical insulation. Then some safety drain chambers should be provided for removing the chemicals or while doing some repairing tasks, while doing some loading or unloading activities or some different activities like maintenance. Then you have to use these safety drain chambers. Then emergency storage tanks in case of excess liquid flow, in cases of sensor failures of these level indicators or sensor failures of this pressure or temperature, we have to transfer this chemical in an emergency storage tank, and then you can repair or maintain that particular instrument. Then use of proper pipe connectors. So these fittings like elbow, T-type, cross type, etc. And with the help of that specific material, we have to use these pipe connectors for the proper flowing of that chemical or transfer of that chemicals with that temperature, flow rate and pressure conditions. Then another hazard is exothermic reactions. So we know that when the reaction is occurring and if the temperature is increasing, then it is called as exothermic reaction. If for the reaction we have to provide the heat, then it is called as endothermic reactions, right? So it is exothermic means heat is evolved in that reaction, temperature is increases. So the manufacturing of this urea reaction is exothermic reaction, and it is itself a hazard. So give a proper cooling system to autoclave, measure regular temperature, water recycle time, controlled reactions, proper batch feeding, temperature controlling systems, alternating cooling systems are the precautionary measures which we have to adopt for this exothermic reaction controlling. Then evaporation. So evaporation, I have already mentioned that it is a unit operation where we are going to convert thin liquor to thick liquor by evaporating the water. So to evaporate the water, we have to supply the thermal media, we have to use the thermal media like steam. So that is nothing but the evaporations. So while the evaporation, what are the precautionary measures we have to take? That is, water scrubber should be used. So we have to use water scrubbing system, that is nothing but the absorption system. So we have to absorb some chemicals or the pollutants or the gases in the water as a solvent. So that is scrubber systems. Use of proper scrubbing media. So depending on the requirement, we have to adopt some scrubbing media, water, sodium hydroxide, potassium hydroxide, etc. Then control temperature, because in the evaporation, unless and until you have to increase the temperature, we can't separate out the water from the thin liquor. But for this temperature, we have to control that temperature also. Health hazard, use proper PP. So in case of gaseous release, in case of toxic gaseous release, in case of toxic or flammable dust concentration, we have to use the PPs like air purified PP or SCBA or full body protection or face shields, etc. So depending on the activities which is involved in that evaporation operation, so sometimes some dust or gases are released, and that is why we have to use that PP. Then in the dusting case of evaporation, local exhaust ventilation is the best option. Closed system for the collection the product and proper housekeeping are the precautionary measures which we have to adopt for the dusting of this evaporation. Then evaporation screening and dust from screening. So screening is another separation operation where we are going to separate large size particle from the small size particles or vice versa. So we are separating the small size and a large size particle, that is called technically undersized particle and oversized particles. So there is a perforations that is called as mesh, and depending on the mesh size, if the particle is passed through that particular mesh size, through that particular square inch of that square, then it is called as undersized particle. If it is not going to pass or it is not possible to pass that mesh, then it is called as oversized particles. So while screening that particles, some dust can be created, and that dust may be toxic or hazardous, and it is not good for your health. So local hood or local exhaust ventilation should be adopted. Fully closed system with dust extraction systems can be adopted. Some proper housekeeping, so removing dust, removing that particles from that screen continuously can be adopted as a precautionary measures. Safe operation of screening with use of personal protective equipment. So if you are going to use this face shield, if you are going to use these air respiratory systems, then you can avoid that dust particles in your air. Then packing is another hazard while using this rotary packing. So while packing the material, that is in terms of granules, because the final product is in terms of granules, and these solid particles can be packed in 25 kgs, in 50 kgs, etc. in bags. And for this packing, we have to use the stapler machine. So this stapler machine is very heavy, and the speed of that stapler machine is very high. So in case if it is, if any obstacle is there, or if other material is present in that stapling machines, and in between the stapling uh, distance and this back, then that chance, there are chances of this stapler piece can be uh, punch out in other way. So that may be the hazard in the packing. So proper machine guarding, auto trip switch, proper cable tray, automatic flow control, bagging and conveying are the precautionary measures which can be adopted while packing with the help of this rotary packing. Right? So this is the simple plant layout, so that you can understand what exactly the site and plant layout is. So you can understand these are the vehicles. So this is the top view. So this is the example. Here you can understand what exactly the plant layout is. So these are some pictures which are showing how the fertilizer plant is. So now you can understand what exactly the pipeline means in the chemical industries. So it is a complicated pipelines in the industry. This is the packing sections. This is the packing machinery. And nowadays all these things are on automation systems. There is no need of human person or a persons to staple or to pack all these things. So this is the pump systems for the transportation of the chemicals. These are the, this is the windsock systems, chimneys and other piping systems. This is the pipe connector, one of the case study and the accidents involved in the Flixborough, UK, in the chemical plant. This is another view of other plant where you can understand the color coding of these pipelines, color coding of these vessels or equipments which are used, labeling of these tanks or the vessels used in the chemical industries. Now this you can understand what mean by housekeeping. Now this is the case of without coating or painting, corrosion takes place. So these are the symbols or signboards as a precautionary measures. These are the foundations to avoid the vibrations of this compressor or pump systems. And this is another view where you can understand. So these are the two persons. Here the persons are available. And these are the tanks and other systems like scrubber system, separating system, storage systems, effluent treatment plant systems, and fencing are available. So this is the ladder systems, pumping systems, fire hydrant systems, and chimney at a particular or specified height is available in this fertilizer plant. Thank you. So this is one of the example where what exactly the safety in chemical industries, what is mean by instrumentation, what is mean by plant layout, what is mean by siting, what is the meaning of unit operations, what is the meaning of unit processes, what are the parameters or the measuring parameters involved in the chemical industries, which instruments should be involved, what are the hazards present, how the chemical reactions are occurred on the basis of process description, which hazards are present, and what should be the precautionary measures with reference to that particular hazards. This is one of the example. You have to study the different examples like petroleum plant or petrochemical plant or some other chemical or pharmaceutical plant, textile plant, etc. So this is one of the example where the fertilizer industry is discussed, right? So if you want to ask the questions, then you can ask. Thank you.